An old woman who didn't even do household chores heard words that should never have been said. They were carelessly spoken by my oldest son and his wife. They will regret this. Well, I'm moving out then. The next day, my daughter-in-law called me, but I ignored it. It's too late now. My name is Kelly. I lost my husband when I was 43 and started working as a clerk in a medical clinic. It's important not to make mistakes there because we have to keep patients safe. This is true for nurses, pharmacists, and clerks like me. I worked hard to raise my son, Sean. Thankfully, he finished high school, got a job at a big company, and met the woman he loves at work. I was excited to meet her because Sean said she was very cute, but she wasn't what I expected. She looks nice, but dresses too showy, with blonde hair, and acts tough. Her name is Julie. She's 23 years old, and often yells at my son. She even bragged about being in a gang before and talked about her wild younger days, like throwing troublemakers into a river. I told my son I didn't want him to marry her, but he was so in love that he said he wouldn't marry anyone else. My son and Julie got married without a wedding, just signing the papers, and started living together. Looking back, this marriage might have been the start of our troubles. After getting married, my son quit his job to open a store. This news was so surprising that I went to his house. It wasn't something we could discuss over the phone. "What do you mean, open a store?" I asked him. "I'm just tired of the strict rules at work. Did something bad happen?" I had a small argument with a female worker. "You weren't fired for sexual harassment, were you?" "Do I look like Peter Coates?" "No, but making jokes during serious talks is one of my son's bad habits. Even at 37, he doesn't know when to stop joking." "What kind of shop do you plan to open?" "A cafe that serves delicious coffee." I remember there was a song about that. Or maybe it was about tea. "Do you have savings? You'll need about $150,000 to open a shop, right?" Seeing my son's surprised face, I became worried. Starting a shop without a plan would likely fail. Does my son understand how hard it is to run a restaurant? Why don't you try working in a cafe before opening your own? Julie is excited about the shop. How about becoming a hired manager? A hired manager doesn't have much freedom. I'm going to be the owner and master. With my innovative ideas and rare intellect, running a cafe is easy. They called me Raymond back in high school, you know. Your classmates were probably joking. Now, do I look like Amanda Holden to you? I didn't say that. Just like this, we couldn't continue our conversation. Do you have any savings? I don't, so I'll probably go into debt first. He's not just taking a risk. It's like holding onto burning ropes. What's the theme for your store? He hasn't thought of anything. I became even more worried. Who's your target? What kind of customers do you want to attract? Well, I'd prefer young and cute female customers. We're having a serious conversation here. I could post only beautiful women allowed outside the shop. I listened, holding back my anger. Do you have a unique selling point, something no other shop has? Of course I do. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call this my trump card. Can you tell me what it is? Julie will be the waitress. Once that happens, I'm sure we'll have a long line of male customers. If I had to choose a cafe, I'd choose one with a cute waitress, especially since cafes are usually visible from the outside. If they see Julie's lovely figure, we're sure to attract a crowd. This is hopeless. I can't take him seriously. As I was about to leave, my son held me back. There's something I want to discuss. What is it? I want us to live together, with his wife under the same roof. Since Julie will be helping with the shop, I want you to take care of the house chores, cooking, cleaning, laundry. There's a lot, right? Let Julie do that. I'm a full-time employee. I work full-time, even at your age. I could work until I'm about 63. Being at the same job for a long time builds trust. You should have kept your job instead of losing your temper, I told my son. He was quiet for a few seconds, then looked troubled and said, "I just make a small mistake, but my boss started yelling at me. It wasn't a work mistake. I asked a woman from another department if she was pregnant because she looked it, and she got really mad. It turns out she wasn't pregnant. You're kidding. Asking a woman if she's pregnant when she's not is like saying she looks fat. That was a foolish thing to do, I said. It's not funny. The boss was more upset than she was and criticized me harshly. So I told him I'd quit. What does he think? That quitting a job is so easy? I continued. And why start a cafe without looking for another job first? Writing another resume might be a hassle, but opening a shop means writing even more complex documents. Then my son shook his head and said, "No, no, no," in a patronizing way. I had to stop myself from slapping him. Writing a resume for a job you don't like and writing documents for a dream are completely different, he argued. You're not serious about this. If having your own store is your dream, I won't stop you, but I'm not doing any of your household chores. Come on, I need your help. You can handle the household chores even while running a store, can't you? He pleaded. Actually, I made a promise with Julie. Convincing Julie was hard. She didn't easily agree. I told her I'm happy just living with her, and she doesn't have to do any household chores. I was shocked at his boldness. So why should I do the household chores? It's not just about household chores. I'd like you to help with the shop too. The prep work seems hard, doesn't it? If you're including me as a staff member, then I'll have a say in things. I'd rather not, though. I think I need to break my son's unrealistic expectations before we open the shop, otherwise it will be a disaster. With that in mind, I asked, do you have the stamina to keep running the shop? I'm confident in my stamina, he replied. I do exercises and lift weights every day. I'm not talking about your physical strength. I'm talking about having enough money to pay employees and keep us going even if we lose money and have no customers. To be honest, I'm not confident about that part, my son admitted with a smile. All I could do was sigh. Sighing lets happiness escape, and you're the one making me sigh. Me? Why? Oh, shut up. I was clearly upset, but there were still many things to discuss. I spoke quickly. If we're also serving food along with coffee, we need more ingredients and equipment. We need suppliers for the interior, signs, and maybe even staff. The menu can't just be handwritten poorly, and the location of the shop is very important. Did you check if there are similar coffee shops nearby? If you're going to open a shop, you need to use things like social media and flyers, create a marketing strategy, and show a detailed plan. Otherwise, no one will give you the money to start. While I was talking, Julie, who had been quiet, suddenly said, "Hey, why do you get to decide?" For a moment, I didn't know who she was speaking to. Seems the one opening the shop, right? Running a restaurant is tough. "Shut up, old hag," I heard her say. I couldn't believe my ears, but my son stepped in with a forced smile. "Easy now, don't get upset, Mom. Let's continue this conversation tomorrow." I thought I heard old hag, but maybe I misheard. Perhaps my hearing is getting worse. I have a medical office job that pays $1,900 a month plus bonuses. I've saved a lot of money over the years by not overspending. I wouldn't mind supporting my son a bit if he's really serious about working hard. Having your own shop is a dream and can be very rewarding. I started living with my oldest son and his wife on the condition that I would be involved in managing the shop. I didn't live for 57 years for nothing. I used my connections to find a reliable tax accountant, and I convinced my son and his wife to follow the accountant's advice. Thanks to that, we managed to borrow $80,000 to start the business. We opened the shop, but our cafe isn't always busy. One night, Julie came out of the bathroom, walked all the way to the kitchen in just a bath towel, and opened the refrigerator. I was stunned and couldn't say anything, but I couldn't stay silent. "Julie, if it were just you and my son living here, I'd understand. But since I'm also living here, that outfit is not okay. It's because you're here that I'm wearing a towel. If you weren't, I'd be completely naked, she responded. I was so shocked I couldn't speak. Can you stop finding small things to criticize? I told myself to calm down. One morning, Julie came into the kitchen yawning, in her pajamas, and started eating the breakfast I had made without saying anything. The cafe opens at 7:30 a.m. for breakfast, but it was already 8:15. Julie, you haven't been at the cafe much lately. Scene said I don't need to go. Some rude customer tried to get my number, and I got angry and refused. He started complaining about my attitude, saying he's a customer. So I told him he's way too early to flirt with me. I gave her a serious look. Our customers are important. The cafe can't run without them. We don't need customers like that. I splashed water in his face and told him never to come back. You're lying, I thought, but before I could speak, she continued, if it were the old me, I would have thrown hot coffee on him. He should be glad it was just water. This can't go unspoken. Julie, you need to find a job, even part-time, and help with the expenses. Is that an order? She snapped back with a fierce look. Does she think she can scare me? Julie, if you don't want to work, at least do the housework. Shut up, old woman. Nothing annoys me more than being ordered around. Who do you think you're talking to? My fear and anger bubbled up. You're not thinking of hitting me, are you? If you do, I'll hit you back. That was it. I had to tell my son. When the cafe closed, I said to my son, there's something important we need to talk about. If it's a lecture, I don't want to hear it, he said. I told him in detail about Julie's hurtful words, but my son's response shocked me. You nagged Julie again, didn't you? What do you mean nagged? I'll tell you something you don't seem to realize. You're always negative. If you keep correcting people, they will want to stay away from you, even if you were right. I'm the one who is wrong. Even if you think someone is saying something odd, you should first agree with them. If people feel supported, they're more likely to listen. That's how you connect with others. My son always sides with his wife. If you lecture me, my life is over, he said. With that, I left the cafe. Our customer count has really dropped. It's probably because of a rumor about my daughter-in-law who was rude to a customer. I saw my son standing around and asked him, "Scene, do you ever check the bank book?" Not really, he replied. You should check it sometimes to know our balance. Are we still okay financially? It seems he doesn't realize I've been putting a little money in every month because he hardly checks it. I don't need thanks, but he's clueless about our finances, which isn't good. You can't run things just by guessing. There's no way things will just work out by themselves, I said. Why the quick denial? Let's talk about something fun. They say people who laugh a lot find good luck. Look, I'm an optimist, he said. I couldn't hold back any longer. What you have isn't real optimism. Optimism means staying positive even when things are tough, seeing the good in the bad, and turning problems into opportunities. Real optimism involves a strong spirit. You can't be an optimist just by looking on the bright side. Despite my serious talk, my son started tapping on the counter impatiently, like he was trying to end a fight. Enough about your store. Shut up. I'm really worried here. If you can only talk about depressing stuff, then leave. I was shocked. I can't stand to see how much my son has changed, influenced by his wife. But don't say it, I thought to myself. Julie doesn't help with the shop, doesn't do any housework, and is rude to me. Is this okay? When I bring it up, it just causes more problems, so you, her husband, need to do something. Oh, July. As I turned around, surprised, my son burst out laughing. Got you. You really fell for it. Is this how he mocks his parents? I've decided I won't get involved with his shop anymore, and I won't do any housework, even if I see a mess and want to clean it. But I resist doing anything. In the morning, Julie, in her pajamas, saw there was no breakfast on the table. Huh, what about breakfast? Why don't you make it? I have to go to work. So see you later, I said, but I ignored her response and left the house. I finished dinner at a family restaurant near the clinic, and got home around 10 o'clock at night. My furious daughter-in-law confronted me. "What time do you think it is? You didn't make dinner. Are you trying to starve me? If you're hungry, you should make dinner yourself." "You're not a child," I replied. "Are you picking a fight with me?" she asked. As I ignored her and headed to my room, she grabbed my arm. "Wait. If you resort to violence, I'll call the police immediately," I warned. Perhaps intimidated by my firm attitude, she let go of my arm. "By the way, you haven't done the cleaning or the laundry. That's why you should do it, Julie. If you don't do the housework, there's no point in you being here," I said. "Are you serious? I think I'm a considerable help. What about you? You don't do housework, don't help with the shop, just complain to others." "What good are you doing?" she retorted. "Badmouth me any more than that, and I'll hit you." "Getting injured would hinder my own work," she threatened. I retreated to my room. I could hear yelling from the bedroom. I know it's not right, but I ended up listening. "Because you spoil her, that old woman gets out of line every time. She starts complaining." "Do something. If you can't say anything to your parents, I'll leave," she shouted. "Stop, that would be a problem. If you leave, I'll lose my reason to live," my son replied. "If you really think that, then do something," she demanded. "I got it. I'll do something. So don't say scary things like leaving," he pleaded. I wondered if I raised him wrong. Perhaps I inadvertently spoiled him because we were a single-parent household. I wanted to cry. My son said he had something important to discuss, so I went to the shop after it closed. His wife Julie was there too, looking at me with a somewhat mocking expression. "What's the important matter? Do you plan to not do chores at all?" I asked. "I've been telling you that you should do your own housework," she snapped. "Shut up, I told you not to order me around. If you're not going to do housework, then get out." She spat out these harsh words. As my son hesitated, she whispered something in a low voice, but I could hear her. "If you don't say that, we're getting a divorce." "The woman who doesn't do any housework should get out," my son and his wife said. They would surely regret making me genuinely angry. "Just to confirm, Scene, are you really okay with me leaving?" "Get out, just get out already." Then he calmed down a bit. "Just one more thing. What more can you possibly want, Scene? I'm cutting ties with you. From now on, we're strangers, so don't rely on me anymore," I was about to say. "Idiot, just keep quiet. I'm talking to my son." When I shouted, my daughter-in-law grabbed my arm, but my son quickly stepped in. "Hey, let's stop the violence. Let go of her." "Break, foul, 1, 2, 3, shut up. We're not wrestling. This is a street fight. There are no rules here. Did you forget? I warned you I'd call the police if you touched me," I said. My daughter-in-law let go, but she glared at me. I moved out immediately. There was a good apartment near the clinic, which made it easier to commute, and I didn't have to see her anymore. The next day, my daughter-in-law called, but of course, I ignored it despite her persistent calls. I used to transfer $5,000 to my son's account every month, but I stopped since I moved. I can't imagine their business will thrive with such careless management, and now they've lost my support, so their savings will eventually run out. Without the burden of unreasonable support, I'm living a relaxed and peaceful life. A year later, I got another call from my daughter-in-law, so I answered. "Hello, is this Mom? I'm glad you finally answered," she said in a subdued voice, but I'm not naive enough to be fooled by that. It's been a while. What is it?" "The shop is in serious trouble. It might close down." "Close down? Did a meteor strike it or something?" There were a few seconds of silence, but then she continued in a timid voice, "Please help us. We have no customers, and if the shop closes, we won't be able to repay our debts. Some intimidating guys have been threatening us. They're offering me a job that works late at night. Please help us, Mom. I don't have a daughter. I apologize for everything that happened. I'm sorry, please forgive me," she pleaded. But I replied coldly, "I won't forgive you. What should I do for you to forgive me? I'll never forgive you. You've done far too much. It's too late. You're not nice, Mom. You were giving us a huge amount of money, $5,000 every month, to help us. Why didn't you tell us about such an important thing? Julie, you might convince foolish men by pleading in such a sweet voice like that, but I'm not that easy. I'm busy, so I'm ending this call. Wait, please, goodbye. Even after hanging up, they called several times, but of course I didn't answer. I ignored them, realizing that after experiencing such hardship, it was too late to mend things. 5 days later, as I was about to leave work, I saw my son and his ex-wife in the clinic's parking lot. They knelt down, apologizing, but I just walked past them. Wait, please, Mom. We really need your help. You're the only one we can rely on, they pleaded. Like I said, I have no daughter, no son. Families help each other in times of trouble, don't they? They said. Who are you saying that to? We've reflected on our actions. Please forgive us, they begged. I brushed off his ex-wife, who was deeply bowing her head, with harsh words. Even a monkey can reflect on their actions. A monkey? Wait, Julie, are you calling us monkeys? We agreed we wouldn't get angry, no matter what was said. They argued among themselves, but I turned my back and walked away. I could hear Kelly shouting and my son crying from behind. It's all your damn fault. When I looked back, Kelly was attacking my son, but it was none of my business. Later, I heard through the grapevine that their shop had gone bankrupt, his wife had left divorce papers and ran away, and my son fled in the night. It hurts to see such a tragic end. There are many people in the world who try their hardest but still can't make it. I want to support and help such people unconditionally, but I have no intention of helping someone who not only doesn't try, but also makes a fool of others. Now, I can focus on my work. Being a medical clerk is rewarding. No one comes to the hospital because they want to. I want to treat patients with cheerfulness and kindness, to give them hope and energy, even if it's just a little.